Well, welcome you guys back to Business Growth Mindset. It's been a while since we've done a podcast like this, but I'm excited to welcome a good friend, Rod
Yeah,
Kesselring,
yeah,
on the podcast today. And so Rod, tell us a little bit about yourself.
yeah. So I'm fairly new in the game of business. I'm actually a full-time pastor, and so this last year I decided to start a brand new business, and it's just been really amazing. I've had a lot of mind shifts that have changed in that process, and it's been a really great thing to develop, and actually seeing that dovetail in with every other aspect of my life has just been incredible.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So
Yeah.
what was it for you that, because I know these past couple of years have been very stressful for a lot of people. It's always taken, some guts to start a business, but in the past year, what was it for you that's like, I want to start a business? What possessed you?
Yeah, I think it was a life transition. I've got twins and they just went off to college, and I was looking at my own life and going, I'm starting a new chapter, but not only am I starting a new chapter, but I kind of looked back, and I was like, man, I really don't have my retirement in order. I don't have my own life in order to be able to go, okay, I know that I've got things in place to really succeed in the future. And as somebody who goes into ministry, there's kind of this old adage that you don't go into ministry to get rich. And so, from my perspective, it was just one of those things that I was just like, I need to figure that thing out. I need to figure out how to provide for my family and help the things that I'm passionate about. So
I know a lot of people kind of feel that they probably relate to that and that resonates with them, right? They're thinking about their future and what's going on. I also know that like starting a business can involve a lot of fear. What do you do? What did you do a year ago when you decided to start? And what are you currently doing to kind of push past some of that fear and some of that, I think that inner head talk, that we,
yeah.
how do you push
Well,
past that?
I think one is a community is huge. I'll be honest. I mean, you've been a huge encouragement in that for me.
Thank you.
It's just having somebody that kind of says, no, you can do this. You're better than you think you are at this. And I've got a few different accountability partners in my business that just really continue to drive me forward when I'm ready to kind of throw in the towel, because everybody has those days. To have a group of people around you that kind of say, no, stick to it, do the work, follow through on the steps that you need to take, because you'll be successful on the other end of that. And so that's been a huge shift for me. I'd say the other thing that really took a major shift for me was believing in myself enough to say, I am worth investing in this. I'm worth really going after this, and I can be successful. I call myself kind of a serial entrepreneur. I've tried to start 4 or 5 businesses before, and I was never successful. And I was actually reading a quote by Thomas Edison, and one of the things, and one of the things that he says is, when people would ask him, why do you keep trying to create the light bulb? And he says, well, I've just found another successful way not to do it. And so that's what's been exciting in this is I have finally come into my belief system that failure isn't final. It's just another step to success. And that's been a huge, huge mind shift for me that I had to make.
What was it that, can you speak to anything specifically, or was it just kind of a timing issue? You're like, that clicked? Does that make sense? Was there anything that got you to that point where you realized failure isn't final?
Yeah, I would say, once again, having those people around me that continue to speak into that in my life,
Yeah.
but then also following the systems that I had been taught, and just saying, okay, I know that everyone says it works, so now, if I apply it, and listen, I lived in Missouri for like 20 years. So I was a show me guy, show me that it works. And I finally just kind of got out of my own way and said, I'm going to test and see if this works. And sure enough, it does. Right.
Right.
And then, honestly, reading some books, I'm a firm believer that leaders are learners.
Absolutely.
And so, if you're not investing in your own self, either through books or through training or whatever else, you can always get better. And, I just got done reading a book, for example, sales has been one of those things that scared me a lot. And I just got done reading a book by one of Zig Ziglar's guys on sales. And literally there were things in that book that I'm like, that's gold. I can use that. Yeah. I can use that in my own life. And so, it's just been, but it's being willing to be stretched, I think, is really.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. As this group is really about, growth mindset, I think you've hit on some really key principles. I love that. Community is huge. You got to surround yourself with the right people. If you're constantly surrounded yourself with people who are stuck or comfortable, then you tend to get stuck and comfortable, right? So
right.
Surrounding yourself with people who are willing to push you. Yeah, I love what you said, that leaders are learners. We have to invest in ourselves to do that. That's awesome. What would you say to somebody who's struggling in their business right now? Any words of wisdom that you have for people to just kind of get them over a hump?
Yeah, I would say, don't think you have to know it all. I'm at the position right now where I'm at a critical junction where I have to figure out, do I continue to have to be the expert in every aspect of my business, or can I outsource? Can I find ways to bring people into my team that know more than I do, so that I don't have to worry about that aspect?
Right.
And it allows you to scale. Scaling and systems, to me, are the two things that I'm really working on right now, and learning how to systematize things so that they actually churn for me and I don't have to work at them so hard.
Yeah.
And developing those right systems. And that's where, having others around you that have been successful that say, hey, here's a way you can do that. So that's huge. But the other side is the scalability of saying, I don't have to do it all. I can hire somebody, I can outsource somebody, I can do these different things to allow me to focus on what I'm good at. Know your strength idea is, what are you good at? And then what aren't you good at? And then don't feel like you have to become good at it. I grew up with that. You got to be a Renaissance person. You got to be good at everything. Yeah. And I'm learning that's a fallacy in business.
Yeah, it really is. Where I actually live, that seems to be a pretty prevalent culture, that we're very much do-it-ourselfers, and why pay someone else when I can do it? But being dependent on other people is not a bad thing. You're right. And if you get yourself out of the way, I think, and
I'll just say, you get to bless people. Yeah. That's an interesting concept that I never really understood. But when you can provide value to other people because you're able to pay them, the more you make, the more you can bless other people, even with stability. I mean, we know that COVID messed with jobs all over, right?
Yeah.
And I've got people that I know personally that are like, man, I wish I could find some way to just make a little extra. and I can go, hey, I can train you to do some things.
Yeah.
And you could help me in my business, and I could then bless you to give you some stability. And that's huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got several partners that we do trade with for that very reason. I came in and I wanted to work with them because I love their businesses. And selfishly so, one's a restaurant and I love their food. I love having to pay at their restaurant. It's wonderful. But yeah, you're right. It's just, yeah, that ability. They saw something that they knew they needed to do, but rather than waste time becoming an expert on that, being able to get somebody else. I read a good book. I think it's by Dan Sullivan. The who, not the what or the how. Sometimes we try to spend our time, learning how to do a thing or focusing on the what we need to do, when it's like, no, I just need to find the right person to help me take all of that. That's huge. And whether that be in, I think that works in any business model, right?
Right.
So let me ask you this. What do you say to people? Because I know right now, speaking of COVID, one of the things that people are running into is finding who's, right? They're in some industries having a hard time finding crews or employees. How have you handled that, or how have you, because I know that you help business owners. So it's okay if you don't have an answer for that, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, no, sometimes, some of my clientele is more in the service industry kind of area. So I work with a lot of, contractors and service people and things like that. And I started just really digging into how do I answer that question? Because a lot of them are like, man, I'm so busy. I can't keep up with the work and I can't find workers. Right. And actually one of the things that I stumbled across, and this is a great little tip for any contractor out there, is hiring a veteran has some major benefits. When I look at that, there's a few things that most business owners don't realize. And that's, first of all, you get a tax credit for hiring a veteran, which a tax credit is huge because it's like dollar for dollar.
Yeah, free money.
The government actually pays you to hire a veteran and train them in a skill. Second of all, they have a great work ethic. They've gone through boot camp. They know how to learn. They know how to follow direction. Yeah. And so there's a potential of that. And third, that actually positions your business in a unique thing because it places you in somebody who is giving back to people who have really done a great thing for our country, which is to serve.
Yeah.
And right now we've got an influx of people that are coming back from Afghanistan and all those different things, and they're looking for stability. And so that's one of the things that I'm just really, trying to help coach other business owners to think about and find solutions into that process.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, last question. I don't want to take too much of your time, but tell us about your goals. What you're hoping you can accomplish in 2022.
Yeah, you know what? I've already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but setting up systems by which I can really scale is a big goal for me. Quite frankly, I mean, once again, money is the secondary for me. Really fixing my eyes on how do I want to help people. My company, which is Bellwether Marketing Solutions, one of my kind of mantras is serving, not selling. I really want to help people, not, I don't want to be the guy who's just trying to sell somebody on something. I really want to help people. And when I do that, then I know I'll be successful because I'm more concerned about them than I'm concerned about me. And money just becomes a byproduct of that. Yeah. And so to me, that's kind of where I'm at this year. Is I want to find ways to be better and more helpful to people, right, in that process.
And setting up a system that is repeatable and scalable will free up your time to be able to do that. Well, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome, Rod. Thank you for joining us. So again, Rod owns a digital marketing agency, and I'm going to put his information on here. And if you'd like to reach out to him, please do. He's a great guy. I trust him. I know him. Anyway, but I really appreciate it. Thank you for talking about that, especially that last little piece that you said. There is something synergistic. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's something incredible about when you are worried about helping people, that success just naturally follows. It truly does. It truly does. Yeah. And
it's
finding wealth, not money, but wealth, I think is
right. And it's a principle, right? I once again, I've already told you, I'm a minister by trade, but the Bible does say, give and it will be given to you.
Yeah.
And that's a principle that I have seen time and time in business, whether or not you're a Christian or anything else, the principle works.
Yeah.
And so it's powerful.
I'm a believer in that principle, and you can call it karma, you can call it whatever it is, but there's irrefutable proof out there that
absolutely,
that light attracts light, right?
Yeah.
And good attracts good. So that's awesome. Well, Rod, you're amazing, my friend. I'll let you get off, but thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Sounds great. Thanks, man.
See ya.